This is AI Jim Ross, and you're about to listen to Booking the Territory, the Unprofessional Wrestling Podcast. This show is strictly for entertainment purposes only. Don't be a slapdick and get offended by anything on this show. And hey, slap nuts, if you do get offended, that's a you problem.
Hi, everybody. This is Jim Cornette, pro wrestling legend, and you're listening to the Booking the Territory Unprofessional Wrestling Podcast.
This is the artist formerly known as Daryl Van Horn, James Mitchell, the Sinister Minister, and I'm here to let you know I would rather slam my cock in a car door than to miss the dulcet tones of Hard Body Harper, my illegitimate son, on Booking the Territory podcast.
Woo, Messi, this is professional wrestler Jimmy Valiant, the Boogie Woogie Man. Tell my people, my brothers and sisters, don't you dare miss Booking the Territory. Oh, yeah.
This is a one-man gang. You're listening to Booking the Territory Pro Wrestling Podcast.
Welcome back, everyone, to this week's episode of Booking the Territory, the Unprofessional Wrestling Podcast, where today we are covering WCW Saturday Night on TBS from January the 30th of 1993. If you're listening to this on YouTube, please subscribe, not sub, you know how Harper likes to say it, subscribe to the channel and hit the like button on the video. And lastly, type a comment or two what you liked or didn't like about the episode. It really does help the channel grow, and it makes Harper very, very happy. He gets really pissy and salty when there's no comments. So he's reading them, believe me, but he gets pissy and salty when he doesn't see comments and he doesn't see that thumbs up on the YouTube video. Speaking of Harper, he's not here. We're going to talk about that in a second. He's got a good reason. Trust me, people. Doc, let me welcome you in. How are you?
I feel a little bit better. This won't make a lot of sense in the time we do it, but, you know, I was starting to get real worried about my Blue Bomber fandom, and we really pulled out a dominant win the other night, eh?
What's this wee shit?
Well, I root for the team. I'm all in, bro.
Yeah, shut
you
out.
You got to run it back like we do. It solves a lot of problems.
They shut out what I think is the best team in the West. So that's something.
Yeah,
winning 25.
You've been saying that. You've been saying, "Hey, don't look at the Rough Riders. Look past them. They're not the best." So I'll put you over for that. I'm doing great. We're going to carry the load tonight without Harper. That always makes it heavier and harder to do. Mike and I have been talking about Harper last week. He was cracking us up with his words about the little fella up there in Tennessee and some derogatory words he had to say about that. And
my God.
Yeah. And then also,
he called
Mike
him a redneck smurf.
He did. Now, here's the other thing. Don't think that we don't get off the air and gossip about Harper like a bunch of old women at the church. We definitely do. We were like, can you believe that Harper had the guts to walk out in front of the world and talk about people not growing up when he's Hard Body Harper?
Bruh, it just the thing was, he didn't see his own hypocrisy in that rant. It was
he was legit worked up.
Thing.
I mean, afterwards when we got done, it was like, bruh, I'm serious. I hate that shit. And we're like, okay.
But we both, like, so when we got off the air, the next day, Doc and I were talking. I was like, Doc goes, bro, you was right. We're talking about 30-year-old wrestling, like, and telling people to grow up. And I'm like, dude, the whole time I'm thinking about him on that rant. The next thing I'm thinking is, this is the same dude who was like, bro, I bought a Pac-Man clock. And you said that, actually, not to be fair. He's like, I bought a Pac-Man clock. And this
that
is a
would
few
send
years
us
ago.
over the edge when it happened.
Yeah, so it just was so funny because I'm like, Harper, do you not see the hypocrisy one bit here? And he didn't see it at all. It was,
and the funny thing
great.
about that is this. y'all can think what you want about Harper, and we've said this before in the past. Everybody has their own image of what, who I am and who you are and all of this. Harper is not dumb. And the
very
one
smart.
thing that I would say that makes Harper really not dumb is his ability to understand how the world works on a real level and
Oh
to
my
be able
God.
to make connections to things. And so I'm telling you, it's even crazier that he just like, this was oblivious to him, because his ability to see through shit and make connections is like what makes him an intelligent guy, and he wasn't having none of it.
He wasn't having none of it. And I was in tears. I had to keep muting myself because I'm laughing. And the whole time I'm thinking, he doesn't see the hypocrisy in this. It was an amazing rant.
I mean, I'm not going to tell you that everything we do on this show is on the up and up all the time, because that gives me plausible deniability someday that I'm playing a character here for all the heel playing that I've done. And everybody turns it up a little bit when we get on the air, because otherwise, we might fall asleep because we got day jobs and shit. But I could tell y'all for a fact, just between all of us, he was not playing on that.
He was shooting, bro. He did not. It was really amazing. And I'm thinking of all the time, see, like behind the scenes stuff that's not even on the show. Like he'll call me, bruh, I'm thinking about getting this LJN figure. Oh, I saw this such and such, I want to buy. And so in my mind, all those things are going past my mind as he's on this rant about telling people to grow up. And I'm thinking to myself, Harper, our entire audience, the literally 100% of everyone who listens to us weekly and sometimes multiple times a week, because we have Patreon shows, it fits the grow up category. So you're literally shooting on your own listeners and fans. It was the damnedest thing, but he didn't see it, which was really weird, because to your point, he's very, very smart, and he has an ability to reason things through usually, but that was not one of those moments at all.
It was crazy. And then when he gets going like that, I lose any level of objectivity, because my only job is to keep him going, because that's what everybody requires from me here. And so that's when I brought up the damn Pac-Man clock to try to really, I wanted him to turn on me and me become like Jesus for the people. Like, I will die for your sins. But I mean, he didn't see that either.
Right.
He was blowing through all kinds of, I wouldn't say red lights, but he was blowing through yield signs like he didn't see them like crazy. And, you tried to give him some rope. I tried to make him mad, even madder and mad at me, and it just didn't work. Whatever.
So wait, one thing. One thing before we keep going.
Yeah.
It's key to point out, your job a lot of times is to keep poking the bear.
Because you never know. Sometimes he'll just shut down and give you a one word answer. And sometimes you get, werewolves and Latinas. You never know where he's going to go. And so you got to see it through.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Now, he's not here tonight, and I think we're going to grant him an excused absence for this one.
Oh, yeah, he's not getting fined by Bill Watts.
I heard that his colonoscopy went wrong.
Oh, don't play like that. Come on.
That's not it?
No. You can't joke. That's not something you can joke about, because if that did go wrong, that will... Jesus Christ.
Well, he's already had it, right?
Well, yeah, because it was last week, but we don't know the results yet. So that's why I say you can't play like that.
Oh. Okay. Yeah. Well, tonight in real world activity is Lady Harper's birthday. So, she's getting some real classy treatment.
Jesus Christ. I thought you was going to say something else. I thought you were going to say something else.
No, I don't want to say anything else. I don't want to get in trouble tonight. But, I'm sure he's whining and dining her and all the other things that go along with that.
Yep.
She's probably down at the Waffle House and enjoying whatever she wants on him.
Yep.
Yep. So we're going to get started into the show here probably earlier than normal because to be honest, we don't have a lot to talk about. I did want to bring up a couple of things. One, you've mentioned to me, and let me just say this is a great advertisement for our patron channel. You said that there's been a lot of feedback on the Ask Doc Anything. I'm trying not to put myself over with the big toot toot, but I will say that it's a collective effort that the patrons are asked to ask me questions, and a lot of it is sports or pop culture, rock music, some wrestling, and we get together and go through them through usually multi-part series now. It's a lot of fun, and the patrons sent in really great questions this year. It's a 4-part series that is up on the patron channel, along with hours and hours and hours of content. And here's another advertisement for the patron channel as well. Pretty soon, it has to be done pretty soon. We're going to dial up the little fella. He's going to hold the microphone up high, and he's probably going to pick the Tennessee Titans. But we're going to do our annual NFL preview show. I did some looking last night. I don't know what to make of this league this year. We know that he doesn't take this thing seriously, no matter how many papers he's ruffling or what kind of stool he's standing on when he makes these announcements. The little fella doesn't take this serious. I'll try to, and I'm going to pick the Super Bowl champ.
He's been bugging me now. Oh my God, we're gonna do the NFL prediction show again. Please tell me.
Like for those of us who have a life, the Super Bowl is our Super Bowl, but for him, this is his Super Bowl.
Oh, you're saying he's hitting the RVD pose because he's on with the main host.
Bruh.
Half Pint was cool, man, by the way. Half Pint was really, really cool. When I finally met him at Wildcat X-Rated with the BTT listener get together. He was really cool, really, really funny. He what I like about Half Pint is he doesn't, I kind of feel bad teasing him a lot about being short, but he doesn't get worked into a shoot over it. Like, he doesn't just fly off the handle because of it. And
what's he gonna do?
Well, it's not just that. It's just, it's like if you just keep picking on the same thing with somebody, usually they'll lose their mind. But he's a good sport about it, and it's funny. He was really, really, really cool dude to talk to, meet, and he had a great time. He actually had a suggestion. He had an actually good suggestion for the next one. No, this is true. So he flew in on
what?
Next X-Ray Wildcat BTT.
Okay,
listen
so not
to me.
The NFL thing.
No. Wildcat BTT.
Okay.
He was saying some of the guys flew in on, I guess, Friday afternoon, evening, night. And he was saying, man, he's like, we should have did something on Friday night. And see, for me, it's hard for me to do anything on Fridays usually because I get in and I don't really get to see family members often. So I try to at least reserve that time to do that while I'm in town, because usually I'm in on Friday, out first thing Sunday morning. So Saturday is really hard because of the show. I don't really do too much usually besides going to the show. So I don't feel like running around the city the whole time. So I'll reserve Friday when I get in the afternoons for, hey, let me go hang out with my family, people I never get to see. But his suggestion was true. It's like, listeners that get on Friday, do something, anything. And I was like, you know what? I was like, that's a great idea, Half Pint. I'm going to put you in charge of that next year. So
hey, everybody heads down to Soul Train Fashions, gets themselves a new set, a new fit, and then head over to Shishi's and get arrested or shot.
That's not funny, but okay. I don't think they make suits Half Pint size at Soul Train Fashions.
They don't have a kids. They don't have a kids section.
I don't remember, to be honest with you. I had to think about it.
Okay, well, the moral of the story there is we'd like for you to become a patron, because we try to make it actually worth your while, and it's how the show really is still in existence. Most, for lack of a, no BS. So if you're going to keep the show afloat, we try to make it worth your while.
Yep. So go to tinyurl.com/PatreonBTT. That's how you can support the show. That's how you can get 400 plus Patreon exclusive shows, including Super Brawl 3, which is coming up, including the last Clash that we did recently. The Legacy Cast with Sparks and a Little Fella Half Pint, the ECW show, Mike Prue and JV, and the Enric Beebe, and the World Class shows with Lance and myself, all available on Patreon, tinyurl.com/PatreonBTT. And no joke, Doc and I did a 4-part Ask Doc. It wasn't our decision to do 4 parts. It's just that we got so many questions. It took 4 parts to get in the show. So I would say in total, it was probably 4.5 to 5 hours of audio with the 4 parts. So there you go. We answered every single question, or Doc answered every single question that we got on the Patreon page. So thank you if you submitted one.
Maybe we need to do an Ask Menace.
Okay.
I'll just, and then you could tell us, all about Bones Thugs and all that kind of stuff. And I could just walk us through it.
Okay. Tell you what. If you want an Ask Menace episode, do me a favor and comment on the YouTube episode that when this drops, or send it on, not DM, but post it on Twitter when you see this
Okay,
show.
so let me give the because here's what I'm afraid of.
Tweet it to us, I guess is what I'm looking for.
I'm afraid that you're going to get 75 versions of can we really find out what race Mike is or ethnicity?
Well, somebody already asked that and asked Doc.
I know. But here's a question for you that will give a spoiler. We'll do an Ask Menace mini episode right now.
Oh,
here's a question off the top of my head.
Oh, God.
No, it's serious. Not counting Chris Adams. Who is the best wrestler you were ever in the ring with?
Tommy Rogers.
Okay.
Easily.
And and here's the thing. In a patron environment, we're not going to do that here, but in a patron environment, I would follow up and say things like, "Oh, that's cool. What made Tommy so good in the ring?" And then you would talk about like what made Tommy so good in the ring, and we would have a gentlemanly discussion. And so for those of you who aren't patrons, that's how the ask should work. If you've had a bad experience because you are afraid Harper's going to yell at you for asking questions, that's not how this works. So we try to facilitate an insightful, informative discussion that is content that is generated by you, the patron, and we work it. So that's how that might look.
Yeah, the Ask Doc episodes are a lot of fun. I mean, more than anything on this one, I kind of laid out, especially on parts 1 through 3, because I was sick as a dog. I just let you do your thing. I mean, I would just literally ask the question and pretty much did nothing, which was easy.
Well, and this doesn't happen just each and every day of the world, but let me put over the patrons here for just a second. They made it real easy because they ask good questions that, first of all, I got a very narrow set of interests and they seem to hit it. So it doesn't make me have to go sit and rack my brain about how to split an atom or some shit. And it's fun shit to talk about. And I've said this in the Ask Doc. Some of that stuff are things that me and my buddies have sit around with beers over the years and been like, what do you think? Or shit, my kid, we're driving down the road to soccer or something. He'll go, so what 5 players would you that are 6'10" and above would you start a team with? And I'm like, I don't know, but if I had a beer, it'd be a better question. So those kinds of things, we can have fun. We can have fun with the Menace for sure. Man, here's the thing. Y'all start asking him questions about those 3 linebackers in the 80s down in the Bayou, and he will be talking for the next 3 days.
Okay. Sure.
All right, so I got one more thing, and then we're going to get into this episode, and this is not something we talked about, and we don't have a lot planned here. And I didn't even plan on asking you this when we got on, but of course, here we are.
Okay.
So most recently in the real life calendar world, we just finished watching SummerSlam. And I didn't get to see all of it, but I got to see some of it. And you said in a quick, we don't have the time to sit and chop it up like we do here. You said you thought it was great. And for what I saw, I thought it was pretty damn good too. Just briefly, what did you see on SummerSlam that made you tell me that was great?
Well, I had kind of wondered if Roman was gonna come back at SummerSlam.
For real.
I've been wondering, like, is this finally it? Like, is he gonna come back? Because then I started doing the math in my head. Of course, my mother-in-law just pulled up, so you're hearing a rabid dog outside. Anyway, I had kind of wondered, is this it? And I started doing the math. I'm like, Mania is in April. This is August. I'm like, it's only been 4 months. And I'm starting to think, do they want to give it more time? But then I started leaning towards, well, it is SummerSlam. It's the like, I'm gonna call it the second big show of the year, right? So I'm like, I don't know. They might do it now. I started thinking, like, man, they might do it now.
Well, I had the same conversation with Mrs. Duck, and she looked at me like I'd lost my mind. Like, why are you telling me this?
Yeah. So
I was like, because when I go turn it on later and I start watching it, and you're all upset and fussy that I'm not hanging out. That's why.
Yeah. So for me,
I said, here's what's going to happen. I bet Roman comes back tonight, and The Rock shows up at the Rumble.
Well, naturally, he's going to show up around that time, or maybe a little bit before. Like, but I wasn't sure. So Roman coming back, I thought was great. I thought the way they did it with him coming back was great. It wasn't like he, quote unquote, him and Cody hugged it out or whatever. It just was. He came back to start the motion of setting things straight with the bloodline and Solo and everything that's going on there. So that was great. I thought Gunther beating Damian Priest, I like that. Drew and Punk, I really like the way they did that. And again, Doc is just asking me this. I'm not about to go into detail.
Right.
But LA Knight beat Logan Paul. Braun Breaker beat Sami Zayn. Like, there was a lot of title changes. There wasn't really one match outside of probably Nia Jackson Bailey that I just was like, ugh.
Hey, Dominic turned on Rhea Ripley. God, what a fool.
So like there was just okay. But so yeah, it was a really, like, I didn't feel like I was watching my watch during that show. Like, man, is this over yet? So that's why I thought it was really a really good, entertaining card. So yeah, it was. Yeah, it was excellent.
I don't have much to add to that. I think you summed it up nicely. The only thing I'll add is if I was, and I wasn't, but if you're ever confused about whether or not he's a star, Roman Reigns is a damn star.
He's fantastic.
He's got presence for days, and man, I was like, damn, when he came out, because it's like you forget that he's been gone.
Yeah,
I thought it was done well.
Did you? I wondered if it was just me, and I haven't listened to any audio of people reviewing it or not.
Me either.
His music sounded a little different, almost like they took a track or took a beat out of it or something to make it not as heelish.
Did they take the bass out of his voice so that he wouldn't be a heel?
No, it was. I wanted to go back and listen to it because when the music hit, I knew it was his music, but something was like a little different with it. And first off, I like his entrance music now. To me, it's great, but there was something a little bit different about it.
So I can't answer that because I actually texted you and I was having issues with Peacock, and I was getting like low definition picture and even some audio issues. So there's no way I could have told. And it could have been the fools that I live with in this house eating up all the bandwidth in other parts of the house. I don't know, but whatever.
All right. So there's that.
But hey, they also edited themselves, and that shit didn't go till midnight.
Yeah, that was great too. I mean, even though it's on a Saturday night, I'm not up for staying up until midnight.
Right.
But
well,
one thing, Doc, before we get into the show,
yeah, okay.
Because I didn't do this at the beginning. Shout out to Disrespectfully Classy, Marky Blassie, Mike Childry, Joe Ice, good old Justin for your generous support on Patreon each and every month, basically being the largest sponsors of this show. And then there was one new patron this week, Mark W., new BTT Hall of Fame patron. Mark, thank you for signing up. Greatly appreciate it. And again, like I said a few minutes back, tinyurl.com/Patreon BTT is where you can become a patron for only a few bucks a month. You get access to all of the Patreon content, 400 plus Patreon exclusive shows, including most of the video versions. Most of the shows we do are also they're also video versions of those as well. So I wanted to mention that. Doc, you were about to say something. I'm thinking you were about to go into this week's episode, but I'll let you.
Yeah, it's time to talk wrestling. Everybody's favorite. It's the thing that makes us the mature, grown-up adults that Harper wants us to be.
It's so funny, that rant. All right. So, again, this is January 30th of 1993. For the record, this show was taped January 25th of 93 at Center Stage. This is the first half of the taping from that day. In the intro, we are told we are going to have Tony Schiavone sit down with Gordon Soley. We then hear from JR and Larry Zbyszko, who cover a quick intro before we go to a promo from Douglas and Steamboat. If you're watching on the video version, you saw a quick clip of the video package of Vader inviting Sting to his White Castle of Fear. More on that later. We're going to have to review that with Harper at some point. I'm disappointed for no other reason.
You said Harper wasn't going to be here tonight. I was like, damn.
Right. Because we needed him for that shit. But we'll see if we can get Harper's commentary on that. And I don't know if I want to say any more. Doc, from there, anything from the Douglas and Steamboat promo? I thought it was meat and potatoes, but I'll let you tell me if you had anything.
Well, two things. One is Douglas says that they drew first blood, or that they drew first blood. So him and Steamboat are going to draw second blood or next blood. I thought he should have said second and third and fourth and fifth, but that's probably what the franchise would have said and not Shane Douglas. And this is something dark period wise I haven't seen, heard about, read about. I hope that it goes on for a while, because I think if we're going to stick Austin in a tag team, this should be a good set of matches and be entertaining.
All right. I won't spoil anything for you then.
Okay. That doesn't sound good.
No, I'm just not going to spoil anything for you. That's all. But they both basically say that Austin and Pillman better be ready for a fight. So
okay. I like fighting.
Them. From there, we go to the first match on the show, which is Chris Benoit versus the Z-Man. And JR speculates, before I throw it to you for anything you got from this, JR speculates during the commentary, while he's giving commentary, what is the White Castle of Fear match, and what's that going to look like between Vader and Sting at Super Brawl? From there, I will throw it to you on Z-Man versus Benoit.
There's probably a joke in there somewhere, but I'm going to try to stay away from it. Larry says that this is a coin toss of a match.
I guess.
But not the way that Zink and Gunn have been booked lately.
Yeah, that's why I said I guess. Whatever, I mean, what's he supposed to say? Benoit's about to just destroy this idiot. I mean, he can't really say that, in my opinion, so I'll give him a pass.
You know how many bad, terrible jokes I'm not saying right now?
Yeah, you shouldn't, because
this next few years is going to be hard. Because I said I want to have a mature discussion about his wrestling, and then I can't do any of the fun stuff without,
Yeah, you can't. It's...
No.
Yeah.
But it's not me, I like to Anyway, can I get 4 minutes and 30 seconds?
I just was on that. I know exactly what the timestamp was. It's when Benoit drops Zinc across the top rope.
I used to love that move because he's just sticking somebody in the ropes. Just like, here, you go over here.
Right. He just throws him. He doesn't let him down easy. He lets gravity take its natural effect.
And as you've said in the past, those ropes are no joke.
Nah, that could hurt if you don't catch that right across your waist, man.
Okay.
Ugh.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking is that, it's not dangerous, but it could hurt.
Right. You got to give Benoit credit. When he's in that ring, everything he does looks ridiculously good.
Purposeful and legitimate and real.
No wasted motions is what we like to always say.
I'll never forget this. My dear sainted sweet mother, in like 1990 whatever, God, Raven was back and in WCW. So that should give everybody a time frame, but I don't remember. I was back at their house for something on a Saturday evening, probably some family event. And I turned Saturday night on, and it was Raven and Benoit. And my mother wouldn't turn it on, of her own accord, but she would sit there and watch and have some comments if I turned it on. And those two got after it and started wrestling. And she's like, these two look like back in the day when the Von Erichs did it. They look like they're really fighting. And I was like, well, yeah, that's because of who it is and who that was. And she's like, okay, well, I mean, those boys are that, they seem tough, that kind of thing. Neither one of these guys has just a ton of charisma.
The Z-Man is void of charisma. He's like the opposite. Whatever the opposite of charisma is, that's Z-Man. That's what they should have named him as a wrestler. Look at that weak super kick. Oh my God. I had that timestamp. It's just so weak. It's so weak. It looks terrible. But
wet
continue.
Noodle.
It does. It's like a wet noodle. Anything else before we go to the finish? Because it's right here.
No, I think the right guy's about to win, if I'm not mistaken.
Benoit with a baseball slide under Z-Man, followed by a lariat, and then he hits Z-Man with a drop kick off the top rope. And then he hits that German suplex bridge for the win, and JR says Benoit remains undefeated here in WCW. And that is how this match ended. God bless Z-Man, but he just ain't. Go ahead.
Well, I just wonder where Benoit's going here, because he's got an impressive start. He's going to need something because, again, he's not Mr. Charisma. He looks like he's going back after 10th grade geometry to have a cigarette behind the gym. I guess he's a good guy because he just beat Zinc. Or maybe not. I don't know.
No, I never got that. When I would watch him back then, I never thought that about him. I never thought babyface. I always thought heel. He just had that. The look of him was strictly heel to me. Like, I never once looked at Benoit. I was like, oh, he might be a good guy. Like, it was always not.
He might need a manager.
He don't need a manager, dude. Benoit don't need nothing but himself. I mean, he was that good in ring wise and just his style in the ring. Oh my God, he didn't need a manager. All right, Doc. Well, you ready to get to this crap?
Well,
I'm just gonna play it.
Okay.
Tony Schiavone is interviewing Maxx Payne in front of the fake or maybe not fake lockers. Here it is.
All right, Jim, thank you very much. No doubt in recent weeks we've been most impressed with this man at 6'6" at 340 pounds, and he'll be in action later on in this program, Maxx Payne.
Hello, me. Meet the real me. In my misfits way of life. A dark black past is mine, my most valued possession. Hindsight is always 20/20, but looking back, it's still a bit fuzzy. Speak of mutually assured destruction. Nice story. Tell it to Reader's Digest. Yeah, the boys at Megadeth, they didn't know they was writing that song about Maxx Payne. Yeah, well, I'm not a 3-time All-American football player, and I'm not a 3-time All-American swimmer, and I'm not a 3-time All-American javelin thrower. What I am is a 3-time All-American wrestler with the credentials to back it. So take a look at the real thing. I am the Alpha and the Omega.
This guy bores me to death. And that's my comment.
Okay.
I don't really know what else to say. I know he's going to tag with Cactus at some point, but
I'm not sure what we're doing here. Like, he went on forever with those lyrics, and the minute I heard it, I was like, okay, I know this. What is it? What is it? What is it? What is it? It took me like 3 lines, and I'm like, okay, yeah, that's Megadeth. And I'm like, but then he keeps reciting like the whole thing, like a 8th grade girl reading lyrics, Taylor Swift lyrics off her book cover that she, you wrap your book in the book cover and then you like draw on it and shit. Now, can you go back for a second where he's to the very beginning?
Yeah.
Is that Gentilly on the back?
That's what it looks like it says, but that's not how you spell Gentilly.
Oh, I didn't think people from Gentilly knew how to spell Gentilly.
That's funny. Gentilly, not Li.
Oh.
For the record.
I was hoping that maybe y'all and him were buddies.
No.
Mm-mm. I'm not sure what's going on here because he has the teased up hair, which is kind of like hair metal, but he's wearing like, it looks like white makeup, pancake makeup to make him look like a punk or goth or strung out dude. But then they tout his amateur wrestling credentials later. It's kind of like we're throwing a lot of shit at shit to see what sticks, and I think that's a bad sign. I think if we're making people have to think too much about I don't know what I'm saying here.
Well, if you don't get it, I ain't going to get it. And I never got it and still don't get it. And it literally gets the fast forward when he's on my screen.
Okay.
That's my feelings on it.
Well, here's the other thing. He's a guy that landed in my dark period, so I don't have a lot to go on with him. So this is really my first introduction. So I'm probably going to give him a little bit longer to hopefully catch me. But the initial start wasn't great here.
Yeah, by next week you'll be like, I'm done with this.
That's quite possible. Yes.
All right. This is another thing that we're gonna get Harper's opinion on when he gets back because
this is racist.
What's racist?
Bruh.
What?
I'll help you out. I'm gonna be an ally.
Making Brad dance.
Yes.
Okay, I was like, what are you talking about? So we're about to go to Brad Armstrong.
I was talking about the Scorpio segment.
Oh, well, that's right. You weren't on the show with us, huh?
No.
The music video. Well, I mean, we've already talked about it.
So a bunch of black children go to school, but they can't go to school unless they're stepping to the beat. Come on.
There was a little white kid in there with him. What are you talking about?
I didn't see any crackers.
Yeah, there was actually a little white boy at the very beginning of it.
Was it you?
It wasn't me. It was Harper. No, I'm kidding. See, look, that's Harper. That's a joke. It wasn't Harper. But yeah, there's a little white kid out there. See, he's talking to Scorpio right there. No, that's not the white kid. Obviously, see the white kid on the right.
No, I can't see that far.
Okay. No. This isn't racist. I forgot. So, what did you think of the music video? Because you've never talked about it.
It's probably okay for 1993.
It was fine for 93.
Okay.
Yeah, it was fine for 93. We had a lengthy discussion about it during the Clash episode, which again you can listen to on Patreon, tinyurl.com/PatreonBTT. We had a lengthy discussion about it on there. It was fun, and Harper was on it, so he gave his commentary as well. But it was
what did Me Time think?
Me Time with Mike Crockett? I don't even remember. But the funny part is the lady who starts singing right before they start stepping. Here goes to go Scorpio. Wait, I can't do it, but it was like one of the best parts. She was singing, boy, and I was like, Harper, you know that's not her singing. He's like, you think? Like, yeah, we know. She was lip syncing. Whoever the lady was that was singing. But yeah, it was a good little discussion.
Y'all leave that lady alone.
We go to Brad Armstrong and Too Cold Scorpio now versus Ron Hagen and Sergeant Buddy Lee Parker. Doc, we get a quick match here, but you got anything from it?
At 12:20 at the beginning, did we have Brad step in there too?
Yeah, that's what I thought you were saying was racist at first, because Scorpio and Brad are coming to the ring and Scorpio is stepping, and as Scorpio is stepping, Brad Armstrong, who is a future No Limit soldier, is trying to step too.
We could have forgotten that.
Look at Brad, he can't step. Like, he started to try and then it just wasn't going to work for him, man.
He probably looked at Too Cold and was like, is this right? Nah, bro. Okay, I'll stop.
I always think about when you hear guys like Austin or people talk about Brad in the back, he was Mr. Personality. But when the camera's on in the ring, he had personality, but it wasn't like they described he was in the back, where he was like the life of the party.
Right. So
he's not devoid of personality, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. So I've got a question here about a particular move in this match, and I'm kind of interested in what you think, and then what you think the old timers would think. And to do that, we need to go to 14:30.
Okay, that's almost getting to the finish. All right,
right here.
Give me a second. So Brad is working over the arm. He tags in Scorpio. And Scorpio flips in the ring and does a leg drop onto Ron Hagen's arm. What about it?
That wasn't it. Do that again. Run that back. I couldn't see it.
You said 14:30.
Okay, so run it back.
Yeah,
Okay,
here we go. 14:25.
Yeah, okay, so this is what I think it is. How
Yeah.
Scorpio comes in.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
What about it?
I think that's kind of silly. Like, he did a whole lot to hit, like, did a backflip to, like, hit him in the arm when he could have just come in the ring and kicked him in the arm and kept moving. It felt like too much mustard on my Whopper.
Well, you're going to just have it your way at Burger King if you think that was too much on your Whopper, because there was nothing wrong with that.
I said I wanted light mustard.
Oh, God. Don't remind me. Shit. All right. Anything as I
did you say heavy spit? Because that's what's coming next. You
I wouldn't do that. I said light mayo. When I was, I never said this while I worked there, but oftentimes I wanted to say, heifer, light is very subjective. Or you get the people heavy everything. Oh boy, I would just destroy that burger. Look at Brad.
I always liked it. I always liked it later when I waited tables, and then like I'd like the fried platter with a Diet Coke and ranch dressing. I'm like, what do you think that Diet Coke's gonna do?
Okay, so I have an answer for that.
That shit ain't unless that shit is laced with Ozempic, you're in trouble.
No, I like the way of like a diet soda over a regular. There are people who like the taste of diet sodas.
That's gross.
Okay, well, I mean, that's your opinion, and you can take it and shove it up your ass. It tastes like what?
Chemicals.
Okay.
Like I don't drink a lot of sodas either. Like they're just, as we all might guess, I get my liquid calories from other places. And it's not super great for you anyway. And I do enough things that aren't great for me. So, you got to pick and choose some battles here. But if I'm going to go so far as to have a soft drink, or as we call them here in Texas, a Coke, regardless of what brand it is, it's going to be regular strength. And even then, it's a little sweet for me because I'm not used to it and my sensitivities are such. But you drinking them damn chemical waters, man, that's gonna fuck you up.
Okay, you finished judging everybody who drinks diet sodas?
I didn't say
Mr.
I'm judging you that you're wrong. I'm worried about y'all.
Okay, sure you are. Scorpio and Brad win, and Brad tries to step after the win. Hey, look at Brad. He's trying to get it. Look at
shit, bro. 40. I would say that, let's say, 62% of our listeners are Brad Armstrong right here. We're trying to hang out with Mike Menace and Too Cold, and we're trying to step and be cool, but we can't quite get it right. You're just trying to be, we're trying to be allies and good friends to our friends in the other community, and we look stupid trying half the time,
It's funny. But Brad and Scorpio pick up the win. From there, we're going to go to the video package that we were talking about with the White Castle of Fear.
This is
Larry.
This is something, man. And I've read about this before. It's worse than I could have imagined. It's worse than I could have envisioned. And there's just long periods of silence that's gross.
Larry Zbyszko and Jim Ross throw to the footage. And before we get going, I just want to say, if you don't get the audio of this and you're watching on YouTube, it's because it had to be clipped out. If you do, well, it made it through. So it might not make the YouTube version, but I'm going to play it now, and we may stop it if it's starting to go too long and discuss. But we are told Sting is getting on a helicopter, and we are told he is going to a party in Colorado, and the chopper is flying over White Cap Mountains. From there, I'm going to hit play. Here it is.
Sting accepted an invitation to a party at the White Castle of Fear in the Rocky Mountains. Another party. Let's go. Roger, we're clear.
I wonder what this is all about.
The challenge is presented for you to play a game.
Vader challenged me to a game?
I know you like a good time. I know you like challenges.
Could this be some sort of trap?
And I know that you like living on the edge.
Well, I guess I'll find out soon enough.
Come to the White Castle of Fear.
Where is this Castle of Fear, anyway?
And play Vader's game!
Where is this Castle of Fear?
Sting, I've spotted the White Castle.
Look, it's Half Pint.
Bruh.
Sting's here. Play the game.
You again.
Play the game.
Sting, this is one game you're gonna lose.
There's something very familiar about all this.
Vader's here.
Who's the man? Who's the man?
You're the man.
Stinger.
Vader, nice place you have here. Reminds me of your personality. Cold.
Very funny, Sting.
What's up?
You're here to accept the challenge of Vader. Are you ready to play the game?
All right. So what's the game?
It's over!
You know what a strap match is? Well, I'm gonna show you Vader style.
Play the game. Play the game.
It's the race, the strap. Yeah.
Vader, 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 Vader.
To be continued at WCW Super Brawl 3.
Okay, Doc. Oh, what are we going to talk about here? Are you there? Or did this
my
one put you
first
to
note
sleep?
was, what the shit? This is, let's just start. So we need to come up to the mountain and play tug of war with little people and a bunch of sluts in order to sign a strap match?
Well, I don't think you should call them sluts.
Well, whatever you call those whores, this is doing more work
okay.
than the job requires.
Yeah. I mean, you're not gonna get a disagreement from me on that one.
First of all, he got in that helicopter, and the first thing I thought, and everybody else should think of, is poor Kobe.
Yeah, I ain't getting in no helicopter, bro.
Fuck that. I've gotten a lot better with flying in an airplane recently, but I ain't getting in no helicopter, bro. And I had a pilot one time. I got an acquaintance that's a pilot, not the BTT pilot David Chauvin. This is somebody else.
Yeah. I know.
And he was telling me, here's all the reasons you shouldn't, you chill out when you fly and blah, blah, blah. And here's what I see in the cockpit and all this. He goes, but none of that applies to helicopters because I ain't getting on one of those either.
Yeah.
He's like, there's too many things that can go wrong in that scenario. Now they're flying up there to the mountains, and this shit looks like, Rocky 4.5. Except on a shoestring budget. I was expecting that. There's no easy way out. Remember that song when he's training and he's thinking about like running on the beach with Apollo and
yes, yeah.
And you can make fun of that shit all you want, but I will sit and watch a Rocky movie if I catch it on TV like nobody's business.
Sure. I love me some Rocky movies, all the way up until 4, not 5. But yes.
I probably saw 5 in the local dollar theater at least 12 times.
5? That's the one where he doesn't fight. It's Tommy Morrison.
Correct.
Okay, just making sure we're on the same page.
Oh, yeah. I've wasted a lot of time in my life doing things, you know.
Do you know what these things are? I don't know if I don't know if we've talked about it much. These little vignettes, like they did the one with Jake before Halloween Havoc. You remember?
Well, when he goes, "This seems familiar," that's what I thought he was referring to.
Yeah, well, so this is a Sharon Sadello thing, and like it's one of the legacies of what she did, and it was when they would have the major pay-per-views. Right? Okay, when they would have these major, I don't say major, when they had pay-per-views, they did these like short, I'm gonna call them movies, films, whatever term you want to use to help promote the pay-per-view. So this was just another one of those, like we saw with Halloween Havoc.
This is some people that are forgetting that there's which end of the pencil is most important.
Yeah.
Dude, this is so bad. And it's so 1980s. And you're trying to do something. And so on some level, I appreciate trying to do something new. Like you said, Sharon Sadello, that's fine. And it's not that, like, because here's the other thing. And boy, this is where I could see Harper. I'd be like, something like, Harper? Think about this. This was the best footage they could piece together of this. And he'd be like, I know, bro, that's just terrible. You know, that kind of thing.
He'd lose his mind over this.
I was shocked.
He'd go crazy.
I was shocked that Vader had a stable of bitches.
Why do you keep... Go ahead.
Well, and he also had a little fella. He had a half pint.
Well, that's the same little fella from the Halloween Havoc one, too.
Oh, I put that out of my mind. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, he was in that one. But this is just...
So they're recycling midgets.
This is the same one. But here's the problem with this. I say this...
The problem says that there's only one. I'm going to need lots of problems.
No. Hear me out. The match that they have at Super Bowl is so memorable. It is so good because Vader and Sting have fantastic matches, especially at big shows. They get after it when they are in that ring together. The match at Super Bowl is so good. It's another Sting and Vader classic. And that is why I'm like, this match, this pay-per-view does not need this bull crap.
That's what I was saying is like it's too much work for the job because you're right. I was going to say it. Those guys have a tendency to get after it and beat the crap out of each other. Why do we want to make that goofy?
They know how to get in the ring and beat the dog doo-doo out of each other.
My exact note, Mike, was these in my chicken scratch is these two have good matches. This is unnecessary.
Right. What are we doing?
And my next note was, but Vader, Harley, and even Sting deserve so much better here.
Yeah. It's just weird. Sting, and if you're not watching...
The problem with this is that it's truly the fact that we've lost our way as a wrestling company because the people who have wrestling voices obviously don't have the power to veto this shit.
Yeah, there's no way Bill Watts, as much as I can't stand him in many ways, in this era, there's no way Bill Watts is like, yeah, this is a great idea. There's no way. There's just no way. And I know he's close to being out the door as I say that. Maybe this was the thing that was like, he's like, I'm done. But it's stupid. It's hokey. Sting lands. He enters the quote unquote castle. We see several women. They greet Sting in this warm way. Vader's in the castle with Harley. As you heard, Harley says, are you ready to play the game? Sting says, sure. What's the game? Vader's like, you know what a strap match is? I'm going to show you Vader style. And then Race puts the strap on Vader. One of the girls puts the strap on Sting. They play a little tug of war, which is stupid. And then we have a fire in between them, and as they play tug of war, and then we cut and are told to be continued at Super Brawl. My note literally said, "What the piss did we just watch?"
I said, "What the shit?"
Yeah, and I gotta repeat, they don't need this nonsense, man. They don't need it. These two guys do not need this stupidity. And then I just realized, watching it for the 60 millionth time, Harley's got a black bodysuit on.
It's slimming.
Okay. Oh, all right. I don't have anything else.
I think
Doc,
it's worth asking the question, what are we doing here?
I need, if you are watching this on YouTube, I need you to comment, post a comment. Was it dumb? Did you like it? Were you indifferent? What did you think about the White Castle of Fear vignette? Not the match. The key here is not the match. Because the match, spoiler alert, as I've said 100 times, is really good. Really goddamn good.
Nobody that is a faithful listener of this show is going to put this vignette over and be serious.
I'm just curious. Like,
no.
But anyway, yeah, man.
No.
I think we've exhausted our thoughts. We'll have to get Harper's when he returns.
I could just hear that Harper noise where he goes, ugh.
Ugh. Jesus Christ. I need to find a soundbite when he says Jesus Christ and have it on the soundboard. And the times he's not here, which isn't often, just hit that, right?
I think we could use that.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's continue. Doc, we got another debut. We've had Benoit debut recently. We're going to have someone else coming in soon, but we got another debut here. Let's hear from Steve Regal, who's with Jim Ross. It's a quick one. Here it is.
Welcome back, everyone, to WCW Saturday Night. Jim Ross back with newcomer Steve Regal. And, Steve, I know that next week here on the broadcast you're going to be competing, but tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from and how long have you been wrestling?
I've been wrestling for the last 9 years all around the world. I'm from Blackpool in England. And I can't say what an honor it is and a pleasure to be here at World Championship Wrestling.
I know, as you said, you've wrestled all over the world, and as we talked about before we went on the air, a lot of wrestlers around the globe talk about the competition here in WCW, don't they?
Well, I've been all around the world, and believe me, the one place you want to come if you're a professional wrestler is right here at World Championship Wrestling. It's the only place to be.
All right, Steve, thanks very much. We look forward to Regal's debut here on WCW Saturday Night right here next Saturday. We got tag team action awaiting us in the ring. Let's go back to Tony Gillen.
All right, you were talking to me about this offline, and I remember him coming in as a babyface, and I don't remember it being memorable. And that's all I remember about early Steve Regal in WCW, without rewatching, which we're about to do, obviously, over the next, year and however long we end up doing this show, which there's no plan to stop it. But I just remember him not being very memorable as a babyface.
Boy, he's not exactly Chris Adams, huh?
No, not at. No. You meaning Chris Adams' babyface personality with that English accent?
That smile, the dimple.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
For people, if you didn't see Chris in his prime,
Steve Regal is double tough, super technically talented, and has tremendous facials in the ring and just the whole package, and I'm looking forward to when that happens. But none of that was made visible here.
Nah, we ain't getting none of that. That wasn't happening today on this promo. I mean, it was like 40 seconds long, and it was just basically meat and potatoes.
And he was too soft-spoken and just kind of mumbly. Not a great start.
No, but yeah, I don't blame him. Obviously, he turns into something much different in WCW. I forget the pay-per-view where it was him and almost said Brooklyn Brawler.
Fit Finley, bro.
Fit Finley beat the
They beat the teetotal and shit out of one another.
Dude, I was like watching that. I remember being in my early 20s watching that, and me and my buddy are watching them. Like, just somebody needs to tell these two it's a work.
Yeah, they'll figure it out. They'll figure it out soon enough.
It's like, dude, these two are badasses. And my buddy goes, "Would you want to work either one of those two?" I'm like, "No, not if that's how they work."
It would depend.
For enough money, sure. All right, let's continue. Scotty Flamingo and Rip Rogers take on Marcus Bagwell and Eric Watts. Anything that has an Eric Watts match or anything that Eric Watts is in at this point, I just want to give the fast forward, but I want to give you some due diligence and just say, hey, do you have anything?
Well, they did misspell Eric on the way out.
Shocking.
They misspelled the boss's kid's name.
Shocking, right? No,
that takes some sack right there.
Bruh, if you can't spell Arn Anderson, one of the founding members of the Four Horsemen, like when he came back, if you can't spell Arn Anderson and you spell it Arnie, there's nothing else that tops that because he's Arn freaking Anderson. And let me guess, you had that timestamp at 26. Well, that's the finish, actually, as I'm saying that. But go ahead. You got anything else?
No, it appears that they don't have a lot of love for I said this last week, but Raven is dropped down a peg here, and I don't like it.
Oh yeah. No, Bill, yeah. He's not a Bill Watts guy. Meanwhile, Bagwell and Flamingo go to high school with him, go flying over the top rope. Meanwhile, in the ring, Eric puts on the STF on Rip
It's
Rogers.
funny that you say that because I had a line teed up for you to say that to me when I said Bagwell caught Levy with the crossbody.
Go to high school with him? Come on, bro. We work in the room here or what?
Let's try to be professional.
I love D-Man. He's actually very funny. Man. Anyway, all right, let's continue. Doc, I gotta play this. It's like 30 seconds. I need your thoughts. How's that sound?
Man, I think you need to hit pause here.
Okay.
And I wish Harper was here for this too, but play
This is the third time we wanted Harper, but go ahead.
Well, we always want Harper.
No, I mean, like literally tonight, we're like, we need his opinion on this. We need his opinion on this.
We need to tell his broad to start having birthdays.
For real.
She needs to start getting some priorities in her life. This show being one of them.
I just don't want her to slit her wrist because she's tired of hearing about Me Tunes.
She's tired of hearing about Me Tunes. Your wife is mad that you're a semi-celebrity in the podcasting world. And my wife is super tired of me trying to watch SummerSlam. We deserve better, man.
All right, you want me to hit play now? Go to Michael Hayes with who he's with. Here it is. I'm not even going to say it. I'm just going to hit play.
Leonard Skinner about Slam Jam 1.
Michael P.S. Hayes here from the Fabulous Freebirds with the guys that made the song what it is today. My greatest of friends, Johnny Van Zandt, Gary Ralston from the legendary greatest rock and roll band of all time, Leonard Skinner. For the next few weeks, we will be counting down the hits off the Slam Jam 1 album, and we will award the Jammy for the best song on WCW. And my main man Johnny and my other man Gary will give us the lowdown on the countdown, and you, the fan, that's right, you, the fan, can pick the winner. Watch for the contest beginning with us next week.
So I don't think the versions that we have after this have that on it, just so you know.
Well, I'm going to tell you that my opinion is Gary Rossington, who is on the left but on Michael's right.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, that dude's messed up.
What you mean by that?
Intoxicated.
Like right in this moment, or what do you mean?
Yes, look at him. His eyes are looking up. Dude, that guy's not sober.
All right, I'll take your word on it.
That guy's barely standing.
All right, I got you.
That's why I need a Harper. He would know what I was talking about here.
I mean, it's not the clearest video, so I'm like, I guess I don't know.
And that's what makes it so crazy, as I can tell. Now,
all right.
Here's the other thing. People like to make fun of Leonard Skinner because of Freebird and because they're like the prototypical hillbillies, but Leonard Skinner was a hell of a rock band. They had they were very musical and had some more sophisticated views than you might think by looking at them and hanging out with the Freebirds and whatnot.
I'm as free as a bird now, and it's a bird you cannot change. I know Freebird.
Are you finished?
Yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So, I like me some Skinner for sure. I'm at the point in my life where I need the deep cuts because I've heard all the hits for 40 years now, and I can't do them much. But they're good. He's messed up, and let's get to what we see on the. Speaking of messed up, let's see what we have on the screen now.
All right, let's go now to the Rock and Roll Express, who are in center stage with Jim Ross.
Yeah,
they need to speak about what's going on in their world, which is Smoky Mountain. Here we go.
Welcome back, everyone, to WCW Saturday Night here with two of the greatest tag team wrestlers of all time, Ricky Morton and Roderick Gibson, the legendary Rock and Roll Express. Gentlemen, it's great to have you here. There is a little bit of bad news. I know that you recently lost the Smoky Mountain Wrestling Tag Team Championship to Jim Cornette's Heavenly Bodies, thanks to beautiful Bobby Eaton involvement in that contest, but you're still going to be a part of Super Brawl.
That's right, Super Brawl. I'd say hello to all the fans here. It's been a long time since we rock and roll. Let me tell you something, Bobby Eaton and Jimmy Cornette, we'll take care of y'all when the time comes. We're going to do one thing. Look at the Wrecking Crew.
The Wrecking Crew, your opponents, Rick, in Asheville on the 21st of February.
Well, that's right, Jimbo. You know, these guys come out here and they're big. A lot bigger than we are and a lot stronger. But that's how the Rock and Roll Express made our name. We capitalize on them big old boys because that's what we like. But one thing about it is, like you said earlier, Jimmy Cornette, we'll worry about you in Smoky Mountain Wrestling. But right now, our mind's on Super Brawl with the Wrecking Crew. And Jimbo, we're going to sit out here and watch this next match because one thing we do is capitalize on mistakes. And that's what you're going to do, Wrecking Crew. You're going to make a big one stepping in the ring with the Rock and Roll Express.
Yeah. All right, as Ricky and Robert watch this one, ladies and gentlemen, let's go back up to Tony Gillum.
It's like we're going back in time for us reviewing Smoky Mountain, and it's just interesting. Now, the Rock and Roll had lost the Smoky Mountain Wrestling tag belts by this point, so Gibson and Morton are still talking about a match with the Wrecking Crew coming up at Super Brawl 3, but as we know, they will take on the Heavenly Bodies. For now, Ricky and Robert just state they're going to sit ringside and scout the Wrecking Crew in this match because that's what it, at this point, seemed like was going to happen, and I'll leave it at that. But your thoughts on there? I mean, it was meat and potatoes, but I don't know. We've seen so many rock and roll promos over the years. It's not like anything's going to stop us and shock us.
No, but they sound different than everybody else out there. And I think that just reminds the people of that they're still who they are.
And certainly the audience knows them at this. I mean, like, they're basically legends coming back.
Well, here's a little spoiler alert. I watched next week's episode already because I don't know when we're going to record it. And they're going to be out next week too. And they're still over, buddy.
Oh, yeah. Big time. Big time. Big time. I know exactly what you mean. So I don't have anything else from their promo, but we go to the match. Wrecking Crew versus Rex Cooper and Rick Ryder. There are tons of rock and roll chants. So you're talking about next week, but they're chanting rock and roll this week as they're just sitting there.
That they're just sitting there and getting over.
They're just sitting there and they're not even doing nothing.
We got the biggest. We got the champ and the biggest baby face, and we got to take him out to the mountains on a helicopter to get a strap match going. And for rock and roll, all they got to do is go out there and sit down.
I'll be damned, huh? Ain't that crazy?
I'll be damned. It's almost like it ain't that fucking hard.
Right. Well, this match, Doc, I don't really have much from it. The Wrecking Crew are going to hit that Wrecking Ball finisher and they win. And Boogie, nothing about them says stars. What are your thoughts?
Nothing about them says stars.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be mean, but it's like, oh my God. And this goes
It's
on
not
for
mean.
several months.
It's not mean. I mean, it's real. It's real feedback. They ain't got it. It's okay. I don't have it either. I ain't gonna be a wrestler.
For real.
Damn, barely a fucking podcaster, but okay. Whatever.
My wife was telling my cousin about this the PTT listener meetup that was there. She goes, she's
like, these clowns.
No, she goes, I don't fucking get it. she's like, they'll just bump me out of the way to talk to Mike. And she tells my cousin, it's just fucking weird. She's telling me this last week. I'm like, you're just mad you didn't have a hobby that people wanted to listen to you talk about. Boy, that gets under their skin.
Well, there's two things. It's a hobby that you could stick to for 10 years.
For real.
There's issue number one.
Yep.
Number two is once you get enough patrons, it's not costing you a shit pile of money every month.
Right. The expenses for the show kind of take care of themselves. So unlike a hobby like golf or something like that, where you got to spend a lot of money, you're really just covering your overhead, which makes it, to me, that much better. Like, I've gotten you a computer, I've gotten Harper a computer where we can do it, but we're not spending money. We just cover the cost. And that alone, I think, because see, I could see a woman, like, you know good and well, Doc, if you had a hobby that was costing a lot of money, man.
Golf.
Right, like golf.
I got
like,
buddies that play golf, and it's like you're gone every Saturday morning, and it's so expensive.
Right. So our hobby, it really, the only cost is time. But even then, we kind of do it when we're doing other things, if that makes sense. Like, you'll be at soccer watching, taking notes, right?
Sure.
So we kind of like make it work within our schedules, and then we record. But it's hard, like, so they really can't say anything because it's not taking up too much time, and it's definitely not taking up too much money. So they're like, what can they say? It's one of those. This is why they do the teeth sucking thing. They go, that's what they do, because they can't criticize anything else with it. But yeah, man. All right, let's continue. Tony Schiavone goes up close and personal with Gordon Soley. Doc, do you want to say anything before I hit play here?
Let's let it play.
Yeah. So only thing I'll say is we didn't need White Castle of Fear vignette earlier. All we needed was this. Here it is.
This is a very special WCW Up Close for me personally, because I am sitting beside a man I've been just dying to talk to for a long time on WCW Up Close, the man they call the Dean of professional wrestling commentators, and I guess there's a little bit of Gordon Soley in all of us. Gordon Soley. Gordon, thanks for joining us here.
It's my pleasure, Tony, believe me.
Gordon, you were the host of this program for many years on TBS, and I wanted to ask you, as we take a look at the current World Heavyweight Champion, the awesome Big Van Vader, you have seen some tremendous world champions in the past, Dory Funk Jr., Harley Race, Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes. How does Van Vader compare to these World Heavyweight Champions?
I would have to say, in all honesty, that Big Van Vader is the most awesome champion I've ever seen. You had the gentleman in Lou Thez. You had the man with the tremendous charisma in Dusty Rhodes. You had the Oklahoma star in Jack Briscoe. But here in Big Van Vader, you've got a 450-pound man who moves like a 200-pounder. He has great mobility, great agility, and yet is devastating in his attack on his opponents. So I really have to look at him as one of the most awesome champions I've ever seen.
When you're the World Heavyweight Champion, Gordon, as you know, the challengers are already there, and certainly the man that is first in line, the man who has right now put his name on the dotted line to face Big Van Vader, is Sting.
Well, and Sting is certainly a deserving challenger. There's no question in my mind about that. He's a former World Heavyweight Champion. He's a man with a mission. Even though he's giving away maybe 200 pounds, honestly believe that his desire. I was talking to Coach Don Shula a few years ago, and I said, what do you look for in a player? And Shula said, I look for the man with a heart.
Right.
He can be technically perfect, but doesn't have a heart.
Right.
He said, I want the man with a heart, and I think Sting has it.
There's no question about that, Gordon, and I would agree. Now, as we know, Super Brawl 3 is upon us. It comes your way February 21st on pay-per-view. The challenge was made by Big Van Vader and accepted, and we found out on this program that the White Castle of Fear, the match for Super Brawl, will be Sting and Van Vader in a leather strap match. You have seen some dangerous matches in your career as a wrestling commentator. Bull rope matches, cage matches. How does a leather strap match measure up?
Well, you would have to go back, I think, to the most dangerous match of those that you've mentioned would be the Texas bull rope match, which was an innovation of the American Dream Dusty Rhodes, where you've got the bull rope and the bell in the center of the ring, which could be used as a weapon. But you must remember, in a leather strap match, the wetter the leather becomes, the sharper it becomes, and it becomes a lethal weapon. So WCW did exactly the right thing in saying, hey, we will not sanction this, we will allow it, because these two men want it so badly, but we won't sanction it. And I can only wish Sting the very best in this.
Certainly you have to render your opponent unconscious and drag him around the ring, right, in a leather strap?
Precisely, at all four corners, and I think this may, even though Sting's giving away 200 pounds, this may weigh in his favor if he's able to wear down Big Van Vader, because the man has a lot more oxygen he's got to carry in his system.
Some exciting news for our wrestling fans. Gordon Soley is going to be with us a lot more here on WCW Saturday Night. Beginning next week, he'll be sitting in this chair, and we'll be talking on WCW Up Close. And the first man you'll be talking to is the diabolical Cactus Jack.
This is a guy who I'd really want to get into his head. I really do.
And we look forward to having you here. And I'm Tony Schiavone for WCW Up Close. We'll look forward to it.
All I needed was Gordon to sell the match to me. I didn't need White Castle of Fear vignette. Your thoughts?
I think you're right. Why are we bringing Gordon back now, though?
He never went away.
Oh.
I mean, he's been. It was like, I mean, he might have been out of sight for a little while, but it wasn't like he went anywhere, to my knowledge.
Okay.
He's Gordon Soley too. Like,
he was wearing, man. He had some pimp rings on too, man. He had 3 rings on. He was getting ready to go out after that interview and collect his money, rip off them dollar bills, and keep his pimp hand strong. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. With his Beefeater gin?
How drunk was he there? It's impossible to tell.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he looked the same drunk as when he wasn't drunk. I don't know. That voice.
So why is he taking over? What is Tony going to go do now?
Well, we're getting ready to see some changes in commentary soon.
What does that mean?
It's not because of what Tony's going to decide they're going to go do versus, like, let me, like, saying it like this, like, there's like a collateral damage once Watts is out, and then the JR, I won't even call it fiasco, but what happens with JR and so on and so forth. So
can we blame Bischoff for it?
No. There's a lot of stuff that's...
I like to blame Bischoff for things.
Yeah, I know you do. But there's a lot of stuff that you can't really blame. I don't know who you blame. Let me say it like
You're
that.
going to be surprised at how many things I can blame on Bischoff.
Okay. Well, whatever.
The only thing that will stop that is when Russo gets involved.
Oh God. Well, at least we got a long way to go for that. However, there's going to be lots of changes commentary-wise.
I don't want to change. I don't like it.
There's going to be lots of changes.
No.
When Watts either is fired or resigned, depending on the story you believe.
I don't like it, so we're going to go back to 1985 and start over.
Okay. All right. Nope. So any other thoughts on Schiavone and Gordon Soley? I thought Gordon was great. Thought he was fantastic.
Gordon was great because Gordon is great.
Okay, that's a very analytical statement.
You said it. He broke down that match in a way. He said, he said it, man. He said he came out there and said a leather strap is like a woman. The wetter it gets, the more dangerous it gets.
Okay, I wasn't looking for that. I thought you were about to say he was channeling his inner Robert Gibson there, talking about a man's back being hydrated.
That's you, not him. Don't put that on him. That's you.
But no, seriously, we didn't need the third grade Hollywood skit for the strap match. We just needed Gordon talking about it. We needed to be told it was going to be a strap match and Gordon talking about
bullshit. When all they had to do was get fucking Gordon a handle at Jen and get out of his way and let him do this thing.
All right. So from there, we go to
that is a corporate environment, though. Let's do 50 times the amount of work we need to do to get 1/10 of the results. That's why all our fucking prices are so high at the damn grocery store.
Once again, as you always like to say, what problem are we trying to solve here?
What is the problem we are trying to solve? Because that vignette didn't do it.
So from Gordon cleaning up the White Castle of Fear video and explaining it like a real human being can understand and want to talk us into the building almost, we go to Vader, Barry Windham, and Harley Race, who cut a quick meat and potatoes promo. And Vader basically he's talking about Sting. It was fine. Nothing much. I didn't have anything else from it. Did you, Doc?
I didn't either.
We go to Maxx Payne versus Johnny Gunn. So we heard from Payne earlier.
That's your boy, Maxx Payne.
Now we see him in a match, and this got the old fast forward. Payne looks like he stuck his finger in an electric socket or stuck a pair of scissors in an electric socket. Gunn is a Z-Man clone, but taller. And now JR does say that Payne was an All-American at Iowa State. I'm assuming he means wrestling because that's what Payne was mentioning earlier. You're talking about his wrestling background. So evidently when JR clears it up and says he was at Iowa State, and I really don't care. Payne puts Gunn in an armbar and wins by submission, and I'm already tired of this gimmick, and I got nothing else from it. So, Doc, I'll throw it to you for anything else.
Still don't know what to make of Maxx Payne. The losses are piling up for the Sleep Monsters, the Ambient Express. Kind of makes you wonder what we're doing here.
From there, we go to a segment, a video package, where they talk about a World Television Championship tournament is going to take place.
I've been waiting on this.
So, many of you may recall, if you've been listening to us now for several months, that Scott Steiner was the WCW TV champ, but he got into it with Watts back in September and October of '92, and he told Watts to basically kick rocks and get bent. Scott's contract then expired, and the title has just been floating out there to be forgotten for months now. They tell us, now this is what WCW says, they then tell us that Scott got injured and then his contract expired, and that's why the title's vacant, which is only partially true.
Don't let that
anyway,
don't let that mess you up.
We get a small history of the TV title. Like, they tell us a little bit about it. And in 2 weeks, we're going to start a 16-man tournament for the WCW TV title. And that's all I really want to say about that. Did you have any other thoughts about what they presented regarding the TV title tournament?
No.
All right. Anything from the Sting and Dustin Rhodes promo?
No.
So I'll basically recap it real quick. Sting says, I'm thinking about the pain game that Vader is talking about all the time, but you're going to learn about the pain game from me, Vader. And we don't get a Sting howl. So it was very disappointing, if you ask me.
Okay.
From there, we go to Paul Orndorff versus the Barbarian. Now, remember, Team Vader, Windham, Vader, and Orndorff attacked Barbarian at the last Clash before that 8-man, or was supposed to be an 8-man steel cage match, Thunder Cage, whatever it was. They attacked Barbarian, and then Orndorff spiked pile drove Barbarian on the floor. So this is a grudge match of sorts with Orndorff and Barbarian. And as they're getting into the match, JR brings up, I know this caught your ear, or maybe it didn't, that Orndorff played for the Saints. Technically, it's true. He was a late round pick, but he only played in the preseason. As for this match, these two big bastards got after it. Your thoughts, Doc?
Man.
These are two pros, man.
I thought it was a slick open that he threw the robe on him and went over there and got in his mix. Him being Orndorff. Barbarian is not a baby face by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not sure what we're doing. That's not his fault. I mean, it just is what it is.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what to make out of. My point was this: I'm not sure what to make out of all this. But damn, if these guys don't get after it, kind of like you said.
Yeah, I'm not gonna sit there and tell you, this was the greatest angle ever in end of a feud of a match. Like, no. But Orndorff bumps his ass off. They really beat the piss out of each other. At one point, I'm about to go to it. Orndorff takes a big boot from Barbarian, which was Barbarian's finisher. Orndorff rolls to the floor, and you hear a thud. And then Barbarian follows that with several elbows on the floor. And Orndorff is just struggling to get back into the ring. He eventually does. So there was really nothing fancy about this, but there's the slam, and then you hear the thud. There's nothing fancy about this. It's just like two big old professional wrestlers we're going to beat the hell out of each other, and hopefully the fans enjoy it. And I did, even though there's nothing, like you said, Barbarian's not a babyface, but I mean, there's heat there because of what they did to him at the Clash. So give them credit for at least following up on it.
They're trying. It's just I'm not sure what to make of it, but that's okay.
Yeah, and again, they beat the hell out of each other. Anything before I go to the finish, Doc?
No.
So here's the finish. Barbarian is going to slam Orndorff, but Orndorff gets his feet in the ropes. So Barbarian thinks he won after this slam, and he's like basically starts celebrating. Orndorff gets up and kicks Barbarian in the back, and Orndorff then German suplexes Barbarian, and Orndorff wins. As they then go to commercial, Jim Ross is really continuing to plug the hotline. He says, call it because we are talking about Ric Flair and Davey Boy Smith. He said that last week as well, and he's said that for a few weeks now over the last few episodes. So things are heating up in the dirt sheets behind the scenes. And there's that. Doc, any other thoughts on the finish of this?
No, it was all right. I liked it. It was fine.
Yeah. I actually credit them for following up on what they did to Barbarian at the Clash. So
yeah.
From there, we go to Vader and Barry Windham versus Dustin Rhodes and Sting. We start this one with about 10 to 12 minutes of TV time left. Another match where just four big old horses are just getting after it, man. I don't know what to say. Like, this is that last match, and this match is kind of why we were already in love with wrestling at this point. But one of the reasons why you fall in love with it, you just want to see guys getting there and beat the shit out of each other. And
if we're not gonna talk a bunch of shit at the podium, we might as well beat the shit out of each other. How about that?
That's what I'm saying. So I do have a timestamp at 55:10, but I want to go to you first before I go to that. See what you got.
I'm not sure that I would have had Sting and Vader in the ring at this point together, but okay. I had 53-55.
So while I'm going to 53-55, I don't have a problem with Sting and Vader being in the ring because it's not like a special stipulation match of any sort, and it's a tag match.
Okay.
So it's not like they're not one-on-one. All right, you said 53-55. So we're at 53-50. What are we looking for here?
Looking for this punch.
Yeah.
What if after that punch, Barry Windham would have taken 2 steps back and started stepping like Too Cold Scorpio?
No.
That would have been the precursor to Rap is Crap.
Yes, it would have been. Rap is crap.
57 minutes. The 57-minute mark, unless you want to stop sooner.
Yeah, I got 55-10, and okay. Sting is laying into Windham on the top rope, delivering punches, and Sting tags out to Dustin, and Dustin comes in and delivers a big-time backdrop on Barry Windham. And the crowd, they really were loving it, especially at this point. But Dustin then finishes it with a big lariat, and then Vader comes in and Dustin is just dealing on him, and the crowd is just really, really into it. So watch this backdrop. I mean, first off, these are two big, tall guys, so it's going to look great, and that was good. And then he's going to deliver a punch, and I don't know, just the sequence, they really got after it. There's the lariat.
That's huge.
Yeah, and it's just really, really like good stuff. Here's another lariat, Barry with a big bump. The crowd, you can't hear them because I don't have the audio on, but they're going absolutely nuts. And even Vader comes in, and Dustin like ain't taking nothing from him either. He's just wailing on him. Eventually, they're going to turn it around, and Dustin will start taking the heat. But this was really, really, really good. Just good, like basic. There's the lariat from Vader hitting Dustin.
Yeah.
Good basic psychology tag match between four guys who know what they're doing, and the crowd is really into it. From that, nice bumps, everything, nothing wasted. I thought it was great. What was your next timestamp?
57.
Just 57 even?
Yeah.
All right, so we're at 56.50. What are we looking for?
I just had a note that Barry is just so good.
All right, well, he's on an apron right now, so I'm guessing he's going to get tagged in right here.
I sure hope so.
Because right now we got Vader chopping, delivering forearms and clubbing Dustin in the head. Dustin's like, "Come on, dude."
So I may have had that wrong, but the point is that all of these guys are swinging and hitting and getting after it, and there's a general sense of dislike, and it's palpable, and it's helpful to help tell this story.
It's swinging for the fences, man.
Yeah.
I mean, they're working. Well, Vader always just is ridiculous, but with his clubbing, but yeah, they're working.
People talk about Barry being a little bit over the hill, past his prime. He's still so good.
Oh no, I'll never buy that right now. Nope. It's time and place, man. The problem is it's 93 WCW and the eyes aren't on the product like it should be. But ain't nothing wrong with Barry's doing during this era.
Oh, hell no.
And they're gonna reward him for it. No spoilers. But it's
sounds like a spoiler.
No. Yeah. No, it's not a spoiler. All right. Anything else before we go to the finish?
Let's hit the finish.
So Dustin was taking the heat, but he lands a bulldog and then makes the hot tag to Sting. Sting comes in, he's howling and on fire. We get another huge backdrop on Barry. Barry's backdrops look great. Sting's gonna hit the Stinger Splash. He then goes for the Scorpion Deathlock, and as he's doing that, Vader hits Sting with a big lariat. Outside the ring, though, Race and Dustin, Harley Race is out there, they're throwing hands. So we got the manager, former world champion, out there throwing hands too. In the ring, Wyndham hits Sting with that double arm jumping DDT. Vader then gets in the ring with the leather strap, and
whip him like a dog. Whip him.
He starts whipping Sting like a mule, and he is beating the dog doo-doo with that strap, just giving it to Sting. Even that clubbing forearm right there to the head was ridiculous to Sting. It takes the locker room to come out and help out Vader in the ring, swinging that strap at Sting. So the locker room has to come out and kind of help out. And that's how we go off air. And I thought this was a very solid finish and just a great way to go off air because it's just chaos. And, there's really no reason to have a concrete finish here. And I don't think anybody goes home disappointed. It makes you want to see Sting get some revenge because he's whipped with the strap. I thought this was good. What'd you think?
I did too, because I think if you're there in person, you just got to see those four guys for free.
Yeah. God, he's hitting them with that leather strap too, dude. Stinger. I can hear Vader. But yeah, we go off air. I thought it was a really good finish to the show, and I don't really have anything negative to say about it.
These guys worked, and it was good.
It really was. So, Doc, anything else as we get ready to wind this one up and close the show?
No.
All right. I didn't think so.
mean, I thought they went off air the right way. I think it sets up what comes next. That makes sense. The sad part is that there's so much of this that works that they do something so dumb that's just unforgivable.
Yeah, why do we need the cartoon stuff, right? That's kind of what we're getting at. All right, well, we got to rate it, hand out the Rolex or Toot Toot. Before we do that, a word from AI Jim Ross.
It's almost time to rate this show and hand out the Rolex or Toot Toot Award. Before the fellas do that, don't forget to become a BTT Patreon member by going to tinyurl.com/PatreonBTT. When you sign up, you'll get tons of extra shows. There are 400 plus Patreon shows, including video versions of the main shows, the world-class shows with Lance and Mike, the NWA Legacy cast with Sparks and the Lil Fella Half Pint, and the ECW shows with Mike Prue, Rick BB, and JV. Additionally, Mike and Doc have covered many episodes of Dark Side of the Ring and Tales from the Territories on Vice. You'll also get reviews of all of the Clash of the Champions specials up until where the guys are currently at, and all of the WCW pay-per-views as well through this current time period. All of that and much more for just a few bucks a month. Don't wait. Sign up now and get all of that sweet extra audio gold from the best damn Outlaw Mud Show podcast on the planet.
All right, Doc, so let's rate this thing. What are you going to rate this week's episode?
This is hard.
I don't think it's hard.
The show was really good, but that vignette is destructive to my soul.
Don't you dare be sour.
No, I'm going to be sour. I'm going to have to drop it down to a B+.
Oh no. See, I have a philosophy usually. Not always. And you can poke holes in it sometimes. That White Castle of Fear video package was very stupid and unnecessary. However, the main event was really good. The semi-main event was fine. Max Payne was terrible. Gordon Soley was great. Michael Hayes and Leonard Skinner was, what the hell is happening here? I feel like I got to give it an A-, but that's not to say there wasn't some crap here. There was some crap, but I got to give it an A- because I feel like the good outweighed the bad. Not an A+, but an A-, which leaves the Rolex or the Toot Toot Award. What are you giving yours to? That's tough, if you ask me.
It is. I consider giving it to Vader, Sting, and Harley for having to do what they had to do. But I'm not gonna.
Okay.
I'm gonna say, and this may be for a longer body of work, but I'm giving mine to Barry Windham for just continuously working his ass off week after week after week, and tonight as well.
Barry was really good in the main event. I totally agree. So I'm gonna give mine to Barry as well. I think Barry deserves it. It's hard because if you take that vignette out, Vader would be a contender as well for it. But it's kind of hard to give it to Vader when you think of that vignette. You could also give it to Gordon Soley because he was great in his little up close and personal. He was just being Gordon, but he's always great. So, but I think I agree with you. Barry Windham's in there working his tail off, so we're going to give it to Barry Windham as well. So Barry gets it from both of us, and we got a B+ and A- on the rating from us as well. All right, Doc, that just about wraps this week's show up. Anything we need to take care of before we get out of here that I'm not thinking of at this moment?
Nope.
All right, well, why don't you hit the tagline and we can get up on out of here.
Until next week, book it, bitch.
Harper's crying broke after AI Bill Watts fined him $69,000 and banned the Coyote. And we keep hearing that you all want Harper to answer questions on the main show. Harper is ready to take your questions. Grab a pen and paper because here comes some directions. If you want your question or questions answered, first send Harper $5 per question to his PayPal at cc30388cc@yahoo.com. After you send Harper that sweet, sweet cheddar, email your question or questions to Chris Harper, 16wildcat @gmail.com. That's wildcat with a K, and bookingtheterritory@gmail.com. Also, make sure you state in your email what your name is and what your PayPal address is that you sent the money from. Remember, one question per $5. Kids, get your parents' permission before sending your cheddar and emailing your questions. Lastly, if you missed the PayPal or email addresses, check the show notes and description for the details. Congratulations on making it to the end of this week's show. Don't forget to send your comments about what the guys discussed tonight to Luke Hawks on Facebook and on Twitter, or X, or whatever the piss they call it now. The rumor is Luke likes answering BTT fan mail. Also, do the guys a solid by liking the show's Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram pages. And don't forget to like and retweet or repost the show on all social media platforms. Lastly, become a BTT patron member where you get tons of extra shows. You can join at tinyurl.com/BTT Patreon. Until next week, so long, everybody.